I speak to you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Well, today's the day. We're here. And today's the day you've been waiting for all year. Right? It's Trinity Sunday. I mean, everybody digs Trinity Sunday, right? It's like the favorite day of the year for everybody. So in honor, in honor of the very few people who are here today. Yeah, turn around and look. It's pretty empty. So in honor of this day, though, in honor of the day, our ushers at the back have a prize for you. They have a prize for you, but if, and this is a big if you can go back there and define the Trinity and then give written documentation to support it, and then, and this is the big thing, and then say what that matters for your life. Okay? If you can do all those things and you can do it in 10 minutes or less, you get a prize. Okay? So here's my attempt. And if you haven't already started timing me, start now. Okay? I know you have. So it doesn't matter. Okay, so here's my attempt at Trinity. When we say Trinity, when we say God is Trinity, here's my attempt at trying to talk about what that is. Okay? Trinity is uniqueness and diversity in relationship. Trinity is uniqueness and diversity in relationship. And what difference that makes is this. Anywhere you and I live as uniqueness and diversity in relationship with each other and with all those we can, then we reflect the image of God as Trinity to the world. Because like our Genesis reading said, we are the image of God, right? We are male and female. God created us. The image of God. So as the image of God as Trinity, whenever we live in deep relationship, and maybe even especially with those who are different from us, without losing our own uniqueness, we reflect the Trinity to the world. Got you quiet. You with me, though? Can you go there? Can we go there today, or would you rather just like, amen? Okay, well, go there with me for a second, because here's how I've came to where I am on seeing the Trinity this way, or really experiencing the Trinity this way. Okay, so my whole life, but then some of you know this. In September, I finished a 2-year study with a bunch of people that's called the Living School. The Living School. And essentially the Living School are people who came from all over the world to try to deepen into their relationship with God through study, through prayer, through interactions with each other, and things like that. Okay? So there, in my class, in my group of a 2-year study, there were 180 people. From as far away as South Africa, and from as close as there were some other people from here in Knoxville that were in it as well. And everywhere across the globe. Okay. So there was a lot of diversity there. Diversity meaning experience of life. So a lot of times we'd go out there and the 180 people would meet, but one time we went out there and it was shrunken down and then 50 of us met together. And in that group of 50, we split off into to small groups as well, and had 5 small groups of 10 people. And my small group, in the 10 people, was kind of a microcosm of the world in a way, because it was just a diverse group of people. And our religious backgrounds were all different. We had a lot of different denominations, but then also different, there was a person who was raised Buddhist, and then there were 2 people who were raised what they called secular, or what I'll call secular. No religious affiliation. So we were all one group. And part of our deal was to study together and then get to know each other. Okay? You with me? Good deal. Okay. So one of the things that we had to do during this time together was our group got picked to come up with a worship service that would end the whole meeting time together. Fun. My idea of a good time. So here we are, all these people, once again from different backgrounds, with different understandings about what it means to worship God, trying to come together, a blend, and come up with something new. And we were talking back and forth and coming up. Me as kind of an Episcopal person, we're pretty arrogant Episcopal people when it comes to worship. We kind of think, seriously, when everybody comes around to it, they'll eventually do what we do anyway. Now, is that right? We all sit there think that. Oh, I know, you can do that all year. And I was kind of waiting, right? Like eventually you'll come around and we'll do some kind of meal and right? Okay, so, but that never happened. And this is why. Because we hit like a stalemate, we hit like a stopping point of where we just couldn't agree. And then one of the people who I'm identifying as was raised secular said, I came to this living school because what I've realized in my life, now this is my translation of what he said. What I've realized in my life is leading a purely secular life is very unfulfilling. It just hasn't gotten me very far. It's kind of meaningless. And he said, so, I've been on a search for God. And he said, in this picture and image of God that you see on the front of your cover, this picture and image of God we had in the place where we met. We met in a hotel conference center kind of place. And in one of the rooms, it was like the prayer room, the room where you go to if you really wanted to have some time alone to pray. And there were different stations in the room. And one of the stations had this icon. And the icon is, if you can see, it's the icon of the Trinity. And right down there, kind of toward the bottom, there's a little box. And what is believed was in that little box was a mirror. Okay? So he said, that this picture, this icon, and this image of God, not as some distant being sitting on a throne judging everybody, but as an interconnection, an intercommunion of relationship in diversity. He said, this is a very inviting picture to me about life. And then the other person who was kind of raised secular, she said, yeah, I agree. I've had a similar experience. She said, as a matter of fact, the other day, I went to the station. I went to this place where this icon was, she said, and I sat there and I looked in the mirror. And the thing about the mirror at the station where we met is it said over the top of it, it said that. Which translated means you are the image of God. That's what that means. And she knows it. Or he knows it. You are the image of God. And so she said, I sat there, as if I was invited into the life of God with this mirror that said across it, you are the image of God. She said, and I just couldn't stop crying. She said, because those of you who've been raised in the church, she said, maybe this is just secondhand to you that you are referred to as the image of God. She said, but that's not the way I was raised. She said, I always thought that I was either how much money I had or the job I had or the role that I played, the position I was in life. Mother, daughter, whatever. And while that's all true, she said, I realize I'm more than that. You are the image of God. So that's what we did as part of our worship service. We had 50 people standing in a circle, and while a Roman Catholic woman, played a drum, and a kind of an 86 or 7-year-old man, I think he was Presbyterian, played a drum, we showed the mirror, stood in front of each person. You are the image of God. You are the image of God. And on we went all the way around. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And then we had each other look at one another, not in that creepy kind of way, but just, in that real kind of authentic way. You know what I mean when I say that, right? So in an authentic way. And to realize that not only am I the image of God, but so are you. And that when we live in relationship one to another, and this is what the church is all about, right? When we live in relationship with one another and are able to let ourselves be unique and diverse, we reflect the Trinity to the world. Powerful stuff. Now, what I learned that day, my friends, is this. I don't walk around all day long thinking, oh, you're the image of God, and I'm the image of God. I don't do that. My life, like your life, is very busy, and I have a lot on my plate, and I have a lot of stuff to get done. So it's hard to think about myself like this. That's why it's so important to have places and time to sit and talk about it and reflect about it, to remind me. Because when I remember that I'm the image of God and you're in the image of God, I treat you better, and I treat myself better. Time. Did I do it? I get the prize.